Average debt by age. I love making these videos, and we're gonna be looking at age groups specifically by classification of age and kind of grouping, like Gen Z, millennials, baby boomers. We're gonna be looking at all that stuff, and we're gonna be going over the types of debt and where you fall in, so you guys can understand whether or not you're average, above average, below average, and you can ballpark it. I also think it's just super juicy information. It's super interesting. So we're gonna dive straight in. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. We do a lot of financial content, entrepreneurship content, just like crushing life stuff on this channel. If you watch these videos, you will be more successful. There's no gimmick. You will be, because you'll be more knowledgeable about all the other people around you, about just how to crush and win at life financially, how to set yourself up, and how to actually retire, because most of us aren't gonna retire. But let's get straight into it. So first off, we're looking at Gen Z, which is people that are 18 to 26 years old. Now we're looking at brackets because these brackets are very indicative of where you are in your life. For example, somebody that falls into the Gen Z of right now is probably going to fall into the realm of students, college, early into their careers. They're not gonna be exposed to as many life things, and that's why we're gonna kind of bracket these, because they kind of trend with a lot of life decisions people are making, socioeconomics, and all those other things. So we're gonna look at three things. We're gonna look at mortgage debt, credit card debt, and total non-mortgage debt. Now, total non-mortgage debt is gonna be things like student loans, auto loans, personal loans, and we're also gonna re-include the credit card debt, so you can get an idea of just mortgage versus non-mortgage. But I also want to itemize the credit card debt, because that's something that's really important to you guys, so you can understand whether you're above the below. With that said, I'm gonna say credit card debt, and you should understand where you are in that. You should have zero credit card debt, right? Every single person. I've never had a penny of credit card debt. I grew up, with nothing, right? And you just don't need to have credit card debt. If you have credit card debt, you're failing at life at the beginning, so you'll never get anywhere if you have credit card debt. I'm just gonna say that out loud. Hopefully that's not too harsh to hear, but it's the truth. It's the truth. There's no math, there's no psychology around it. It's just, if you have credit card debt, you're not above average. You're never going to be. So just get rid of it. But let's get straight into it. Mortgage debt for Gen Z. Average mortgage debt, $229,897. Not everybody has a mortgage, and that's the average, which I think also, if you look at it, that average includes a lot of folks that don't have mortgages, because the average home price is like 400 and change thousand in the United States. So to give you a ballpark, just because it'll make more sense when you're looking at mortgage debt for folks that are older, but this will give you an idea. Credit card debt for Gen Zers. This is where it gets interesting. $3,148. That's insane, when the average interest rate for somebody in this age could be upwards of 30%. Nuts. The total non-mortgage debt, that includes, again, the credit card debt, but also personal loans, auto loans, student loans. The total non-mortgage debt, this is bad debt, right? Total bad debt for Gen Zers, $15,105. It's pretty insane. Now, I will say it though, somebody that did come out of college in a similar position, I came out with way more debt than that, because I went to a 4-year school for engineering, specifically mechanical engineering. I also had, actually, I think I had a small car loan because I wanted to build credit at that time. So no credit card debt, but I obviously had like $60,000 of student loan debt, and a small car loan, so it was probably like $75,000 total debt. So folks are already doing better, but you're including a lot of Gen Zers who aren't going to college. The college rates are much, much lower, and you got a lot of other people that aren't finishing college or dropping out very, very quickly. So student loan debt is technically going down if you include the entirety of that bracket, so it's just something to think about. You also have a lot of people that are taking gap years and things like that, just because of like COVID stuff and around that. Just some caveats. But now we're gonna look at millennials. People 27 to 42-ish, depends on the year that you're watching this video. Mortgage debt, $295,689. Not too bad, not terrible. Credit card debt's a little depressing for this grouping. You got $6,274. Now the total bad debt, this is the total non-mortgage debt for millennials, is $29,702. This is fairly scary, because this age group should be the age group where you're kind of like setting yourself up for retirement. By the age of 42, or when you're in your mid-30s, you should have a really solid understanding of your retirement, what you're doing. You should be debt-free and very much heavy on your investments at this point. Like, you're in a bad shape if you're carrying 30 grand of debt through your 30s. That's not great. Bad debt. Then we got Gen X, which is like 43 to 58. This is my parents' generation. Total mortgage debt, $277,153. Now this makes a little bit more sense, because a lot of those folks were buying homes when they were cheaper. They might have more home, but not as much mortgage debt. So it makes sense that we're starting to see that go down. Total credit card debt. This is again where it gets scary. $8,870. Terrifying that it keeps going up. Doesn't make any sense. It also makes kind of sense for some socioeconomic reasons that we're gonna make an entirely different video on. But bad debt, total bad debt for Gen X right now, $32,190. How does debt increase when you need to be making more money and saving more and having more invested when you get older? It just doesn't make sense. Most of that debt has really high interest rate for the average American. Baby boomers, people that have been around longer, 59 to 77, they've been paying on their mortgage debt's gonna be lower. The average mortgage is $190,441. This makes a lot of sense. You're starting to go on your way out. You'd love if you're crushing life, if you want to be above average, by the time you're like 50 or 60, don't have a mortgage anymore. It's not that hard. Just crush life, make more money, work more, crush that mortgage so you can retire. Credit card debt is $6,601. And the total this is really bad debt. At this age, I'm gonna consider the mortgage almost as bad debt, because there's no way to retire if you're still paying a mortgage. Well, there is, but for most people there isn't. Total bad debt is $19,203. So it's getting a little bit more manageable, but at that age, you're in the hurt zone. Now, I'm intentionally not going to look at anyone older than 77 right now, because you get into this interesting realm of the average person doesn't actually live that long, and people that are over that age are basically being consumed by medical debt and doing a lot of stuff medically, and their spending goes down because they're becoming less mobile, they have less energy. Life just changes there, and it's not even worth, mentioning and damaging your psyche of what's going on, because you just don't want to even think about that. I know that sounds crazy, but I'm just like big believer of psychology after the age that you're really living, right? Just don't even focus on it. Prepare yourself to get there, right? One of the most important parts of this video is, I want people to understand that this is not necessarily something to ballpark on. I'm going to give you guys the real here. If you have any of these debts, right, especially by the time you're 35 or 40, you're failing anyways, right? Mortgage needs to be gone by 50, 55 years old, right? I know that's a hard pill to swallow. If you can't do that, you're buying too much house, right? Or you're not making enough money and you need to go out and make more money, right? And I know it's also a hard pill to swallow. We talk about on this channel a lot where, people feel like they're fixed income. Well, go pick up 20 more hours of work, go get a certification, go do something else, go do something entrepreneurial. You can always make a little bit more money. You might not be able to go from $50,000 to $100,000, but you for sure can go to $50,000 to $60,000 or $50,000 to $65,000. That's totally possible. That $15,000 a year compounded over 10 years is $150,000 after tax, maybe 100 grand, 120 grand. That could be half your mortgage, right? So a little bit of extra work over a long period of time goes a long way. To retire in the US comfortably, you really need to have $2 to $3 million. By the time I'm retiring, it's gonna be much larger than that. But like for the average person trying to retire right now, a $2 million invested in a medium cost of living area, maybe high is that's a bit of a stretch, but a medium cost of living area, 1.8 to $2 million will get you a median kind of lifestyle, especially when you consider if you're retiring before the age of 68, where the 4% rule or something like that, the confidence of it lasting the whole time gets lowered. If you have a big life event like a medical issue, it could drastically change your quality of living when you retire. People just aren't on target with that. And if you have debt, especially credit card debt where it's at 20 or 30% interest, you can't retire if you carry that for too long. So I make this video more so to scare you a little bit at the end of it, to make better decisions financially. None of us want to die working on the Walmart floor, which most people watching this video are going to do. Hate to be the bearer of bad news. Even if you're making 100 grand a year watching this video, unless you have like 2 or 3 times your income saved, let's say if you're 35 making 100 grand a year, probably gonna die on the Walmart floor. I know that's a hard, maybe not working at Walmart, but you might work until you're 68, right? Which is brutal. And like, let's say for men, 68, you're already getting into the realm of like, how much longer are you living, right? You're having those real conversations, which is terrifying. We don't want to talk about things like that. But I know this video got really dark and really serious really quickly, but that's the whole point of this channel, is financial education and understanding the reality. Because I think a lot of people just aren't aware that you need that much money to like retire the way that people portray retirement on the TV, like on TV and in movies and stuff like that, or how your parents are retiring. You need to have substantially more money than you think. Now, your parents might retire on less money, but their mortgage is paid off, right? They bought their house for substantially less. Unfortunately, incomes haven't gone up to the amount that houses have gone up. So if you're like me, I just turned 29 years old, right? Fortunately, I own a home. I bought it 5-6 years ago. I'm not in the worst situation, but the cost that I paid for this house relative to my income and the cost my parents bought their first house relative to their income, there's like a 5x discrepancy, right? So it's substantial. And you've got people that you're seeing retire around you right now that are able to retire because their major costs are housing costs, and usually their car costs are almost nothing. But when you get older, if you're not at a place to buy a house in your, early 30s, right? You're going to miss that window. And you're also fighting this problem with our economy that just things haven't adjusted fully. Inflation sucks. So I just want to say that out loud. Hopefully that has some impact on you. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.